Everybody, welcome in. This is Your Fielder's Choice, our daily hit and run show for April 19th. We're brought to you here today, and we're partnering with PrizePicks and with PointsBet. I have my co-host here at YFC Sports, Pete Cole. Pete, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing well. See, we had a good night last night. You had the call of the night. Nice call last night. Adam on Tommy Pham, who was low owned because everybody was on the pitcher. So good call on that.
Yeah, and I think that the 20K winner that we had on our subscriber team, he played Manea and Tommy Pham together, which I think we talked about.
I was just looking at that. As you said that, I was wondering if he played them both. Yeah. So we had a big 20K winner from our premium.
And I think, if you just watched the show yesterday, he kind of just pieced together guys that we liked at each position. That he made the salaries work, and he's 20K richer, which is awesome. Everybody had a good night. Looks like all of our team cashed, hit some GPPs. Subscribers posted some good hits. So it seems like we were on the money yesterday, especially with our pitching pool. But today we do have a big slate. Obviously, it looks like 11 games, and looking like the weather is going to play in pretty much every single one of them. So we are going to try to cover as much as we can. We're going to try to be concise. We're going to cover everything positionally, guys. So if you haven't checked us out at yourfielderschoice.com, we do have a promo right now going on, half off, $25. That gives you your premium subscription. So if you are wondering where we're talking about a lot of these premium subscribers or our subscribers or whatever it is, they're signed up with our website. They're in our free Discord, but they do have premium access, which gives you access to our MLB room, our premium room, all sports that are premium and all content. That's where I hang out. That's where Pete hangs out, obviously, as well. So, guys, like I said, this is the time to jump in. I know we had a late scratch yesterday with Wander Franco. We made sure to – well, not a late scratch. It was up until lock, but we want to make sure our subscribers were aware of that. So it's things like that that are going to put you ahead of the game and give you the edge. So give us the thumbs up and the like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, guys. We appreciate it. And we're going to jump right in, Pete. Today, it's a big slate, and then we kind of touched a little bit on weather. I know you're going to touch a little bit on some run totals and Vegas odds, but looking like it, the only game that I saw that could be impacted was, I know the Mets and the Giants are going to be playing a doubleheader today. It is kind of nice now because we have no more they passed the rule where they did not have the abbreviated second game, so we'll get a full game with that. I know last year we had
that's not on the slate though. Well, it's not on DK.
Oh, it's not on DK. Okay, well, good. I just saw it on the weather slate. Well, that's good that they took it off because sometimes I know that's hard with double headers. So maybe that if you want to play that individually as a showdown. So taking that off, looks like we're good to go. We got some good wind in a lot of these ballparks. I'll talk about that as we go through. But we're going to start with the pitching position. We're going to cover a couple pitchers that you like, Pete, that are your top plays. I'll cover one or two. And, I know your article is going to have a ton in here. There's a lot of options here. We can't talk about them all. So who are you leaning towards as your SP1s and your cash plays right now?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the list right at first, you're like, wow, it's a big list. But honestly, it's not a big list. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty compact for cash. And, of course, right away, your SP1 has got to be, to me, Corbin Burns. He's the highest price on the slate at 10.5, but he's facing Pittsburgh. We've been picking on Pittsburgh for years, right? I mean, Burns' last start allowed 3 hits, over 7 scoreless, struck out 8, walked 1, got a no decision. That was against the Orioles last week. But against the Pirates, he's 4-0. 2.82 ERA. Last season, he was 1-0 with 3.18 ERA. We all know about Burns. I don't spend 10 minutes talking about Corbin Burns. He's your SP1 in cash. He's going to be popular. I think where you're going to be different is going to be SP2. And right now, I'm seeing a lot of love going toward Robbie Ray. And we've been up and down. We've been in that rodeo before, Robbie Ray. And we know the season he had last year. Great season. We also know how the years he had with Arizona after a couple of good years, how bad he was. And I have some concerns about Robbie Ray. And I'm not sure I'm going into my SP2, and that may be where I'm different.
Okay.
And I was just reading, and it's actually really interesting because, and it's only, I mean, through his first turn of the rotation, his fastball, his velocity was down 2.7 miles an hour.
Wow.
Which is the largest year-over-year decrease for any start in MLB. And that's from CBS Sports. Giving them credit for that. And his second start, it was down even more. So you just can't say, it was a one-start fluke. Now we're talking about 2 starts, We know about Robbie Ray's career. It's not like he's been a Max Scherzer for 7 years. And in those 2 starts, he's led to 7 runs, 6 walks, 4 homers, and 13 innings over his first 2 starts with just 9 strikeouts. And strikeouts are his thing. So I'm not saying don't completely fade Robbie Ray, but there is some concerns there, and that maybe we're a place where we can get different. But I think he's going to be popular. I mean, I don't like that price 9.8. Maybe tough getting Burns and Ray in there.
Right.
But even for GBPs, I'm probably on full fade Robbie Ray. Of course, he'll go out and throw a 1-hitter tonight. But
yeah.
So I think Musgrove, to me, is SB2 for cash.
I like Musgrove.
It's a pretty easy one. He's cheap. He's been pitching really well. And I have one other pitcher, and that's it's Framber Valdez. That's and you may be able to spell this out better for me. This guy, his first start, he looked like best pitcher in baseball, and then he went 6 for opening day. He went 6.2 innings in Anaheim, but then a second start against a bad, probably the Diamondbacks, probably the worst hitting team in baseball. He was horrible. He only lasted 3 innings. He walked 5. He hit 1 of the 17 batters he faced. And he already has a career walk rate of 4 per 9. Right. So that was probably more realistic than that first outing. So Framber Valdez is a talented pitcher. I like the spot he's in today, actually. Against Angels again. I'm going back and forth though, because I think he's a type of guy that could win you a GPP when he's on. So that's my big question. Do you play Valdez or not in GBPs? And I think it's Burns and easily Joe Musgrove as your top 2 pitchers in cash tonight.
Yeah, all that is super fair. I like the calls there. I'm kind of with you on SB2, probably leaning Musgrove over Robbie Ray here. Robbie Ray obviously has the upside, but he is a little bit scary. Definitely on, this big of a slate. We have to mention some names here, but love Framber. I love the way he's pitching. He seems to be like ace mentality when he's out there. Ryan Will's behind the plate tonight, so we're going to get a pitcher's umpire, which is really good for Framber. So he's going to get some good calls, but everything sets up for him to have a good night. I will say, I'm kind of on the same page with you. It's probably Corbin Burns, Joe Musgrove, but I do want to mention a few others just to kind of give you guys some options out there. 2 guys that I really like that are a little bit further down low. And the reason I'm going to mention them, not just because I feel like you can make the argument that anybody's a GPP play. Like in our industry, touts are going to be like, oh, well, I made that as a GPP call. Well, of course, because if you're wrong, you could just say, well, it's GPP, right? That's always like the backup. So, but 2 guys that I would say that I consider would be using for cash. Also, one of them is in the Texas-Seattle game, Mr. John Gray. The reason I want to mention Gray is because traditionally, whenever he was a pitcher for the Colorado staff, he was a guy that was viable even in core slates. He keeps the ball down, high ground ball rate, over 50%. He has a 24.4% K rate, 11.3% swinging strike rate. So he tends to actually mitigate some hard contact. He keeps that WOBA down versus righties and lefties, so he's very splits neutral here. Against this Seattle team, the left-handers that they do have, which I'm not really too worried about. Obviously, Winker can get to you. Kalinic's kind of coming on. But if you're looking at it from a stat standpoint, they only have 3 high WOBA hitters. 3 guys that are over 330 WOBA, which are barely over 330, and Frazier, France, and then Winker is a 433 WOBA. We know he hits righties well. But the ISO, there's only 2 high ISO hitters, Winker and Suarez. I know you were big on Suarez. Obviously, he was due for positive regression, but this lineup is projecting for a 30.9% K rate here against John Gray. We know John Gray has a pretty long leash, should go deep into the game here. And, I feel like that Texas is treating him like an ace, in the mentality. So at that price tag here on a big slate, you're looking at, where's he at here? Let me double check, 8.2. He's right there with Musgrove. So he's going to lean more GPP, but I do like the spot here for him. And I did want to mention him. And the other guy I want to talk about is he leans more GPP, but I definitely think that if you want to pay down and get bats, this is the guy I'm going to probably try to play here. I'm going to risk it a little bit here for the biscuit, but that's Chris Archer. You're going against KC. I know KC can be deadly. I'm sure you're going to have something written up about Archer because you've always been a Chris Archer fan as well. We know what kind of pitch type he has. That really wicked slider, good fastball. He doesn't do a ton here, but differently. But looking at that fastball, none of these guys, Sal Perez and Hunter Dozier, are the only guys that hit this pitch even decent. Royals just aren't a good fastball hitting team, and then when you go down to the slider, they have pretty much zero success on the top three of the lineup. Sal Perez just seems to hit that pitch well against right-handers. Dozier's decent, but I will say Chris Archer, K's right-handers at 27.4%, 24.7% overall, and this lineup is projecting at about a 25% K rate. I like Archer a lot, and I think that if you're really struggling for salary, 5.4 K, Pete, really can't beat that there.
Yeah, the only question about Archer is the pitch count.
Yep.
And you said he pitched really well against the Dodgers, and it was the Dodgers. So it's a good call. But I guess that's built into the price when the price is $5,400. Yeah. That would be the only thing that's concerning me. One other pitcher I'm going to throw out at some point is Kyle Gibson. I've always used Gibson over the years. I've won money from him. I gotten my butt beat from him. But I would roll Gibson in with that. Archer's in a better spot, but I roll Gibson in there too because people are on cores. So right. I think every now and then, he's a decent pitcher. He can get rocked, but he can also pitch well, and he can get strikeouts. And Rockies do strike out 24% against righties. So Gibson will be my sneaky GPP play down at that price range, like where you are with Archer.
Yeah. All right. And on FanDuel, guys, like I said, it's probably Corbin Burns, SP1. He's probably the guy that we're going to go there. Robbie Ray's at that price too. You can get a little bit of a discount if you go down, but there's not anything that I'm like that would make me go away from Corbin Burns. I feel like you just play that guy in FanDuel and then you make your lineup different elsewhere. Just my opinion. Yeah,
now they're popping up every now. Sandoval's another good GPP play.
Yep, for sure. We're going to have some more GPP plays in the article. We're going to be moving on. We have a big slate. We got the catcher position. We're going to go hitters positional as well to cover the 11 games on a couple guys that we like at each position. Obviously, as you guys have heard and you've seen the winning lineup stream if you're in our Discord or on Twitter. But guys, like I said, you got to be in these premium places. A lot of these thoughts are being dropped in there on who we like on GPP. You'll get some of our coaches and our staff members dropping in their personal cores in our cores room. So all these things are available to you. All right, Pete, catcher position. I know we could talk a lot about pitching today, but we want to target in some guys here. Who are you looking at the catcher position? And on FanDuel, we'll kind of hybrid catcher and first base together as well. And we want to go into the hitters because I have some PrizePicks props I want to talk about too at the end if you guys are listening and you play PrizePicks. So who do you got at catcher today?
He's calling PrizePicks. I need to look at PrizePicks more too, especially for pitching props for K's. It gives you a good idea for these pitchers. But catcher, it's all about Mikey Zunino today. Zunino's probably my home run call. He's going up against a righty, correct?
Against Steele.
My computer's real.
He's going against Justin Steele for Chicago.
And I do like Justin Steele a little bit today, actually, as a pitcher, depending on who Tampa brings to the plate. But Zunino, we know what Zunino can do. Okay, now I got a 483 ISO, 460 but that's two elite numbers and a decent amount of plate appearances, 62% fly ball rate, 47% hard contact. That's got home run written all over against Justin Steele, who's given up 38% hard contact. Keeps the ball on the ground now, which is actually a pretty good ground ball pitcher, but that's not going to scare me away. I'm all over Mike Zunino today. And I've been right more than I have been wrong on Zunino over the last 2 seasons. So he's definitely my top catcher. A couple of guys I probably like in there. I like the Ruiz kid for Washington. I think he's in a good spot. You got Navarez going up against Brubacher. I like Navarez when he's got the positive split.
Right.
But mainly as long as Zunino is in the game, and I'm doing course, but as long as Zunino is in the game, I'm over Mike Zunino today at 4.7. I'll play him over Contreras. I'll play him over some of these other guys, even probably Salvi today.
Okay.
To me, yeah, Mike Zunino for me.
All right. I like it. There's a ton of options out there. I will say that I had a really nice which kind of was a hybrid of what our big 20K winner did. But I was really in love with those Padres yesterday. And I know Austin Nola wound up coming in batting leadoff yesterday. He had a good showing. He's pretty cheap again today against the lefty in San Martin. I will say San Martin, he's a really good pitcher. But Austin Nola at 3.6K is obviously somebody that I want to get some exposure to on this slate. I definitely like the calls that you've already made there. Kind of looking at it from a, I guess, a pricing standpoint. We have to mention, and I don't know if you've dug this far down, but Travis d'Arnaud is 2K against Walker Buehler. I get it's Walker Buehler, but I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh yeah, he's 2K. So I'm looking at. I was trying to figure out one of the our subscribers, John Burton. He mentioned it, and I was looking at some of the prices, and I was digging down because I always like to look at some cheap catchers, and I totally get. The Braves have been struggling lately, but there's not one Brave hitter that's projected a salary above 3.6K right now. They're all priced down. So
I mean, that's got to be almost a miss. I mean, he's hitting 270 on a season. It's not like the guy's in a horrible slump.
Right, exactly. So you're looking at those prices on the Braves. I'm going to let you get a chance to, because I know it's gonna mess you up because you're going to look at those prices. You're going to be like, what the hell? But I will say that d'Arnaud right there at 2K. Yeah. I mean, if I'm not playing Walker Buehler, then I'm probably going to play some bats against this guy. Like, I like Walker Buehler a lot, right? So, but I will say that you really have to consider the fact that these guys are really priced down today. And, I mean, he is 3.1K on FanDuel. They seem to like have a decent price tag for him. But I'm looking in elsewhere, like Matt Olson's 3.9. He's one of the higher priced first basemen, what makes a lot of sense today. But then you go to DraftKings, and we'll talk about that when we get to first base. But definitely wanted to mention that. Keep that in the back of your head because this is something that we're going to have to look at. The other cheap guy I like, because I like cheap catchers, Zach Collins. He's looking good against Evaldi here. Evaldi's a good fastball, strikeout type of pitcher. Collins seems like he could swing a pretty good stick. 2.4K batting in the heart of the order as well. So, yeah, I like a lot of these catchers, man. I think catcher was where we can get a little bit different. I don't think I love your Zunino call. I do. But he's also 4.7K here. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, that's almost a free square, but then I don't care. Walker Buehler or not. Walker Buehler is not going to pitch a 9-inning complete game either. So he's going to see the Dodger bullpen. So.
Yeah. Well, let's, we want to talk about BVP, obviously, because that is something that I wanted to mention before we move on to first base. And looking like it on here, we do have decent BVP. If Austin Barnes gets a start, he's taken Max Fried yards, seen him about 7 times, hitting over 500, slugging over $1,000. So it's definitely something to mention from the catcher position. I'm looking on there. Wasn't anything else that I saw that really stood out. Max Stassi went yard last night. He has decent splits against Framber. We talked about Sal Perez earlier. He can hit Chris Archer, but not a lot of power. But I do want to mention that d'Arnaud's seen Walker Buehler 13 plate appearances, 10 at-bats. He's has 5 hits, a double, 3 walks against the guy. Never taken him a yard, but he's hitting over 500, slugging over 600, and he is 2K. So
he's going to be 90% owned tonight. Probably.
I kind of feel like he has to be. So I definitely want to mention it. Sorry that we buried the lead there, but we're going to move on to the first base position. Big slate here. A lot of options here. FanDuel covers first base and catcher together. Okay, now that we know about the Braves, Pete, how are we approaching first base here?
And first base is, they really screwed up some of this price. What's Olson's pricing now? So Olson's only 3-4. So yeah, so they totally screwed the slate up. So it's like you can't even play cash games tonight. You got to play GVPs almost. Everybody's be playing the same players. Olson at 3-4, just because it's Buehler. Olson is 11 for his last 26. He's batting 423 over his last 7 days. So the first base is loaded tonight. Freddie Freeman's 11 for 28, batting 3-3 his last 7 days. Connor Joe batting 391. All these, Josh Bell's been hitting real well, 364. Vogelbach 384. Schwindel, I think he's in a good spot tonight. All these guys are hitting well right now. So I think first base. Well, now Olson's gonna be real high owned. I mean, he's obviously gonna be the play in cash. You'd be a little bit different. One guy I like if you're not playing Musgrove is Joey Votto. Votto right now. Well, Votto crushes righties. He can crush Musgrove, 257 ISO, 386 of Woba. So more of a GPP play, but everybody's gonna be on Musgrove. And Votto was only 3,500. So DK has got some screwed up pricing here today. So my favorites are probably is going to have to be Olsen, Freddie in there. You got Hoskins and Coors, and my sneaky one is probably is Bobby Dalbec because he's 4-5. People are not going to play Dalbec, but he's got some really good advanced metrics too with that positive platoon 283 ISO, and Kikuchi does struggle against righties. He gets up 221 ISO, 380 WOBA. So I like Dalbec for GPP, like Joey Votto for GPPs. Olsen's got to be your cash play. And then, all the regular guys, Hoskins and Coors. I'm not big on Coors tonight. Schwindel. And I think I mentioned Josh Bell. So
I always look forward to these slates because I know Kikuchi's on there and I get to hear you say it, Pete. It just tickles me every time you say it. But I do want to mention another because, like I said, that we don't want to give you every play because there's a lot of good ones. But Rowdy Tellez, again, 2.9K. I know he was high owned last night going against Brubaker against left-handers, 357 WOBA. 230 ISO, obviously Rowdy Tellez. He's a great righty smasher, batting fifth in that order. Finally, shout out to Christian Yelich. We'll talk about him maybe when we get to outfield, but he finally went yard last night. I think it was a grand slam, but definitely like Tellez down there. But yeah, I think it's going to come down to, what we're doing in regards to, the Braves and the price tags. Your guy, I know you liked Bethancourt last night. I don't know how he ended up. With that being said, I know Oakland, they put up some decent runs, but Bethancourt's batting fifth. It looks like, again, projected against Ellis. Ellis is not a great pitcher, obviously. His numbers don't show a lot of good peripherals, but there's not a big sample size against him. So A's are probably super in play again today, and he's 2K there. But I guess it just kind of depends on what you want to do at pitching. This slate, unfortunately, kind of turns up to how good is Walker Buehler? Because is he going to just shut these dudes down and we have super low scoring tonight or whatever it is, or just play GPPs like you said? So, all right. I mean, on FanDuel, it's kind of the same situation. FanDuel doesn't have this pricing discrepancy, so there's obviously a lot of good plays to talk about. I will say probably my favorite play there, if you're talking about Coors bats. I know Kyle Freeland's decent here, but Rhys Hoskins, 3.8K first base. Rhys Hoskins has an incredible fly ball rate. So he's probably the guy that I want to mention. I don't even know what he was on DraftKings. I didn't even look, but let me find him out here. Where's Rhys Hoskins? Let's see.
Hoskins is 5.5 on DK.
Okay, 5.5. That makes a lot more sense. So they at least they appropriately priced the fly ball hitter in Coors. So all right. That being said, we're moving on to second base, Pete. I know we could talk a lot about first. We could talk a lot about the pricing, but we need to cover some of these plays. Who's your favorite second baseman today? And while you do, but actually before you do, I want to mention that you talked about Dalbec. He has good BVP, small sample size on Kikuchi, but there's nobody else that really stood out to me outside of like a Brandon Bell, but I don't even think they're on the slate, like you said. So, Hunter Dozier maybe. But all right, second base, I'm ready to roll. What do you got?
One name keeps jumping out at me who I like have been playing. I'm not sure if he's second base eligible on DK is Ty France. I know he is on FanDuel. He's first base eligible on DK. He may be first and second, but Ty France is hitting really well. He's got a hit in 7 of his first 10. Batting 289, got a couple home runs, 211 ISO, 900 OPS, and he never strikes out. So I like him tonight. You like Gray's GPP pitcher. I do like Ty France because Gray's allowing 1.4 home run per 9 to right-handers, and France has got some pop, and he's going to be very low owned. So I like France. Of course, another guy, I'm going to pick on Carlos Hernandez because I think Carlos Hernandez is just the worst pitcher in baseball.
Yep.
I can't believe he's even made this starting staff. I mean, Singer should be pitching over him. But Polanco, even though the Twins have kind of started out slow, Polanco is rolling. Yesterday went 2 for 5 home run. He's now got hits in 5 of his last 9 games. But he's better than he's a better hitter than he showed to start the season. All these Twins are too cheap today. Hernandez allowed 4 runs and 4.1, only 1 strikeout. His only start of the season. I said I watched him in spring training twice. He was horrible. I can't believe he made that starting staff. And Hernandez will pitch to a ton of contact. So load up on Polanco at 3.6. To me, he's probably the top. I think the top point per dollar, probably the top overall play. Trevor Story's probably the top play. He's also 5'4", so I don't think I'm paying that much. I would rather just pay John Segura and Coors at $4,600 less.
Yeah.
Tony Kempe has some understand.
Yeah, Segura actually has some really good BVP, I think. That was something I wanted to mention against Kyle Freeland. He's actually taken him yard twice, hitting 444, slugging 11-11 against him. But I kind of want to see your Polanco call, and I want to raise you a Luis Arias leadoff at 2.5K. I don't know why this guy's – he's too talented of a hitter. 2.5K, Carlos Hernandez is terrible. Second, third base eligible. I was looking at it. I'm like, they're never going to price this guy up. But Polanco's right there, $1,000 more, $1,100 more. Just kind of depends on where you want to go. I'm kind of liking this slate, and I tell you why. It's because I think that the obvious way to go is say, oh man, look at these Braves, look at Albies, look at how cheap they are. But Bueller's a good pitcher. Darno 2K is just that's criminal, right? There's no way he should be that cheap, but. You could make a very good point of like, hey, I don't really need to pay 3.6 for Albies whenever I can get Polanco there in just as good of a spot against a terrible pitcher. So, Luis Arias is down there. Your boy Alan Trejo, Diego Castillo went yard yesterday. He's going against Burns. These are all GPP guys. So I don't want to mention every single person out there. I just wanted to mention that Luis Arias is super cheap there. If you're picking on Robbie Ray, I really like Marcus Semien at the top of that order as well. But yeah, I like second base, man. I think we're going to get different. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of chalk there. I think that, I'm hoping that, but I'm kind of on board with you, man. I think I might play 0 cash games tonight just because it just makes more sense to do that. 11 games. We'll see. Second base on the FanDuel perspective, looking at it, I was trying to see if there was anybody that stood out on price. There isn't, outside of Altuve seeming like he's way too cheap. He's only at 3.2K. He's the same price as Ty France. I like Ty France today, but, I think that Altuve is just too cheap here. Even though Sandoval is a really good pitcher and kind of digging down, I didn't see any that was extreme value there. Trey Turner is second base eligible, so it is Max Fried. He's a good pitcher. Albies is priced appropriately at 4K. Segura is priced up there. So, Maybe we need to play some FanDuel. No, I'm just kidding, Pete. I know you'd never do that. But yeah, that being said, anything else? Are we ready to go to third?
Third base.
All right, let's do it. Third base. A lot of options. Same thing, guys. Big slate here. If you're already listening, you're enjoying the show, we appreciate you. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications. That's the only way we can pay Pete, guys. I'm just being honest with you. So he gets paid by the clicks. So, that being said, third base, got a lot of big bats, hot corner. Who are you seeing that's standing out to you, Pete?
Right now it's got to be Machado. He's started out on fire. He's kind of with no Tatis. He has kind of put the Padres on his back right now. He's now hits in 7 of his last 11, hitting 318. He had a home run. He didn't have a home run last night, right? But I know he's got at least one. He's got 3 stolen bases. His barrels up. He's got 60% hard rate. He did have a home run last night. So now he gets that lefty San Martin, and Machado has always hit lefties well in his career. So even though the Padres have been struggling, I see them as a really sneaky stack today too. And I think people are going to be off the Padres because they're struggling. So Machado's my top overall third baseman. If I don't use Machado, I'll probably go all the way down like I've been doing every night to Bobby Witt. That's the way you can get some of these Coors bats in if you want to go the Coors route. Once again, we know Chris Archer. Chris Archer's talented, but he's not going to be in it that long. If we see 5 innings out of Chris Archer, it's going to be a big deal. So Witt's probably batting second. He has struggled a little bit, but his rates are probably just size any other prospect. So buy low spot for Bobby Witt. You can play Luis Arias at third base if you want.
That's right.
Against Carlos Gascan Hernandez if you don't play him at second. So I guess you can play Polanco and Arias in your lineup. So you can do that way. But I am all over 100% over Machado tonight. He'll probably be like 90% of my lineups unless he drop all the way down to a Bobby Witt. Trying to see who's all the other third basemen are hot. Machado's hottest third baseman in the last 7 days. Beside him is Devers and J-Ram. So yeah, Manny Machado 100% today for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way too. Bregman's hot right now. I mean, he didn't need a bomb last night to do some damage, and Astros put up runs. It's like I kind of want to call out the subscriber that said the Astros were going to struggle, and they wound up putting up like a bunch of runs. So, but I think here it's
yep. Yeah, I know who it was. Yep.
Yeah. So,
watching too.
That being said, Patrick Sandoval obviously going against them. So I do obviously want to look at Bregman. I don't think that he's necessarily a smash play. He does have some success against Sandoval. I will say this, though. 5 plate appearances, 3 hits. He's got only one. Wait, hold on. I'm reading the wrong one there. He has a home run, a couple of walks against him. He's hitting .333, slugging .1333 here against Patrick Sandoval. So when he hits them pretty hard. So I do want to mention that, probably a little bit more of a GPP play there. But, I was kind of digging down. It kind of makes sense to me almost to say, hey, if I play another second baseman outside of Arias and I don't play Machado, then maybe I'll play Arias here at third base. That just seems kind of like it makes a lot of sense here. I think that we're probably going to be a little bit higher on him. He's leading off. We hate Carlos Hernandez, so we want to pick on him as much as possible. I don't know if Rendon's going to be in the lineup from a GPP perspective, but before we move on, I do want to ask you about this because you mentioned some of this in premium yesterday. Alec Bohm, I know the Phillies are struggling in course here against Freeland, but you like this kid. I know he's not happy about being in Philly. I've been following some Twitter stuff on this guy, but is Alex Bohm somebody that you're going to consider here against Kyle Freeland? I know that you like him as a hitter.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that just went right by me, and I've been planning on this day for the last 3 days when he was going to face Freeland, and yeah, that's tonight. It was Bohm. What did he end up last night? I saw his first at bat.
Yesterday,
1 for 3 in a run.
Okay.
So he's in the way he's hitting right now, he's like 9 for 12 or like 10 for 13 or something like right now in the season. So if he gets that start tonight against the lefty, who I just don't like Kyle Freeland. I think Bohm is in a really good spot. I mean, he's a contact hitter, and Bohm hits the ball hard every time he gets to the plate. Freeland is more of a ground ball pitcher though, but that's why he's in Coors. Yeah. Nice call on Bohm because I probably would use Bohm today over Bobby. What's be 3.8 on DraftKings though? What was he yesterday? He was 3.6. Don't like the price though, but I probably would use him over Bobby Witt. So I'm glad you made that call. That one got by me.
Yeah, I actually like Bohm a lot. One of the things I always look at this with Kyle Freeland because this is what he does. He doesn't have an overwhelming fastball, throws a little bit over 90, 91, but he throws his changeup a lot to right-handers. It's about 85 miles per hour, and I always look at guys that hit that changeup really well. Bohm right now against the changeup is hitting a 453 WOBA, 348 ISO, and that's just some extreme numbers here. And I do think that he hits the fastball pretty well. He seems to see all those pitches really well. He even hits that curveball at a 521 WOBA. So there's not a lot that gets past this kid, at least from a hitter standpoint. He's super talented. So everything kind of matches up here. He's a really good line drive hitter, which tends to be a good thing in Coors because the ball will carry. Sometimes you want to target these fly ball guys, but against these pitchers, Colorado, they tend to be ground ball pitchers. So if you got a line drive guy coming in, that's usually the guys that you want to focus on, which is why, you look at someone like Harper, he can have good success here. These fly ball guys can be boom or bust here. But I like Bohm a lot. I know you've talked him up quite a bit. So I just wanted to mention him. I feel like you're going to be higher on him when you really start to dig in later on today. But yeah, on FanDuel, looking at third base, I was trying to see if there was anything that really stood out on price. I mean, you touched on it. We really do like Manny Machado, obviously there. Luis Arias is obviously priced down there. There wasn't any big pricing discrepancies or anything to attack. Obviously, you can go back to the Sheldon Nice 2.2K on FanDuel. He had a good return. He was in that 20K lineup as well at second base yesterday for our subscriber. So that being said, that's third base. We covered it. I talked a little bit about Alec Bohm there and why we liked him. I want to move on. Shortstop today. Looking at it, we almost have a 6K Trey Turner, man. 5.9K even against the Max Fried, so he's priced up there. But there's a lot of good spots here. I see a couple that I really like, but tell me who you're looking at first, Pete.
Nobody's talking about Max Fried today, and this will be the game Max Fried pitches a gem.
Yeah.
So just remember we said that today. Fried's that type of guy. I think shortstop to me, I'm looking at on the two sites. If you're playing FanDuel, it's Willie Adames, 4-7. I mean 2-9 on FanDuel. Sorry, 2-9. DraftKings, it's Bogarts to me at 5K. So Adames, he's 25 home runs last year. So OPS high. He has a started season right, like a lot of these guys, but he's actually a much better hitter in his career against righties. 347 Wobo, 121 RC plus, not split. So hitting second, you want to stack against Brubaker. If you're stacking, Adames should be centering your stacks there. So I like Adames on both sides, but definitely chip on FanDuel. Bogarts, I like Bogarts. Against Kikuchi, he's better against. If you look at his career, he's better against lefties. His OPS is 50 points higher than it is against righties.
Yeah,
366 Woba, 128 WRC, really high. Kikuchi has really struggled. He does have some strikeout stuff, but Bogarts, I think, is probably he's probably my top. I'd probably go Bogarts and then Adames. Trey's always in play. One cheapo, I don't mind you just kind of popping out at me. I mean, unless you want to go like Alan Trejo or somebody, is Jorge Mateo, Baltimore. Goes under the radar all the time, only 2.6. But I'm looking at his stats. His last 6 hits. He's hit in 6 of his last 9 games. He's hitting like 270, 275. Had a double yesterday. And one thing about him, and Mateo can run. He can get you stolen base now and then at 2.6. He's 3 for 3 on the season. Irvin gets hit by right-handed batters. So I think Mateo at 2.6, there's always that one spot. He can also get, I think you can also get him at second base too. No, he's only shortstop on DK. I think he's second maybe on FanDuel. But Mateo is a really good, if you want to get cheap,
he's second and shortstop eligible on FanDuel.
Okay, so shortstop DK. Mateo would probably be my favorite at 2.6. I'm a big Andrew Velasquez guy, switch hitter, but he's going against Valdez. I like Mateo. So I like Bogarts, Willie Adames, Mateo as my cheapo, and always throw Trey Turner in there too, obviously.
Sure, yeah, I love Bogarts today. I mean, not to repeat what you said, he matches up. He has 2 home runs off of Kikuchi, obviously has some good, decent BVP. Only seen him 6 times, hitting 500, slugging 1,500 on there. Adames also has taken Brubaker deep. He has great BVP, albeit only 3 plate appearances against him, so he's seeing the ball well there. One guy I did want to mention, and I'm just going to mention it just because I feel like it's GPP. I think that nobody's going to play him. Bo Bichette's right there at 5.1K. He profiles really well here against Evaldi. I don't think anybody's really going to play a ton of the Jays today. And I've seen Evaldi get beat up and get in trouble real quick. So definitely want to mention that because, that's always something I feel like, you see a team winds are out. It's chilly, but they're blowing to center field, 50-mile-per-hour winds today. There at Fenway. So, with the wind blowing out, the Jays have to be in consideration here. You got, Bichette, Springer, Vlad, all these guys, they're going to go under own today because there's so many other spots. Nobody really wants to pick on Evaldi, so it's definitely something to consider today.
That's a good call. That could probably end up being a stack that wins GPPs, that whole game stack. People play Evaldi with strikeouts, but that's a good call there. Very under owned.
Yeah. Outfield, obviously, a plethora of options, 11 games. You're talking about, 66 options, something like that. So obviously there's a lot of places for us to go here. Outfield, I'm not going to hold you to talking about every single guy that you like. I'm sure there's going to be guys that are going to pop up along the way. And I will just kind of plug one more time. If you guys are not premium subscribers yet, the Top Plays article that'll be out today by Pete. It's going to cover a lot of these guys. He covered Tommy Pham. He covered a lot of these players that people were on yesterday. And I think that's where we had a lot of our caches from, people looking at this article. So be sure to check that out. $25 is half off right now. All right, Pete, outfield position. Where are you going? Where's your top guy?
My favorite outfielder First, you got Course. I think Castellanos is in a good spot today, facing the lefty.
Okay.
And he's 5'9". So
Right.
I like Castellanos. I really like tonight. Maybe my favorite outfielder is Boomstick, Nelly Cruz, 4.8 against Gilbert. Cruz crush 322 ISO, 439 will with 330 batting average and 400 plate appearances last 2 seasons against lefties. Nelly Cruz is either him or Zanino on my home run call of the day. So I like Cruz. I said Castellanos. I like Randy Arozarena for Tampa against Steele. Same thing, 267 ISO, 424 will, but 323 batting average. These are all elite numbers. That's in the 4 range. If I'm going to drop down a little bit, I like Max Kepler against Hernandez. He's only 2.9, so Kepler can get you some big sticks, throwing him in there. Adam Duvall's 2.2 against Bueller.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it looks like a bad BVP, but wow. Siri from Houston, I don't mind against Sandoval. But overall, it's definitely Boomstick. And then who else? I mean, Hunter Dozier has been playing really well.
Yep.
Hitting the ball hard, hitting 296 on a season. He's sub 3K. So yeah, sub 3K on both sites. Dozier's probably my punt play. Kepler's probably my value, and then Arozarena, Boomstick, and then of course the Coors guys.
Yeah, I like that. I was kind of digging in to see if there's any guys that I was missing. Obviously, I do want to mention, shout out Charlie Blackman is only 3.9K on DraftKings, probably batting second here against Gibson. Definitely somebody to mention there. Looking at ownership, what was that?
Sam Hilliard too. He's under 3K. He'll probably be playing teams. He's a lefty.
Yeah, obviously we talked a little bit about game stacking those Toronto and the Red Sox outfielders. I will say the Red Sox righties I'm just in love with today. I think that the Kikuchi's going to get hit by these guys. You got Martinez right there. You got Kike Hernandez right there as well. So obviously those are some guys that I'm going to be looking at. I mean, they're priced up 5.6K, 5.1 for Kike, but Christian Arroyo could find his way in the lineup today. Only 3.3K outfield and shortstop availability here against Kikuchi, who we know gets hit hard by righties. So he's somebody that I definitely want to mention there. His heat maps line up really well with Kikuchi, and he seems to be able to hit the pitch types that he is throwing decently. So I definitely like me some Christian Arroyo today. So hopefully he does make the lineup. And if I can get him in at 3.3K and some GPP stats, some wraparound stuff, it's definitely somebody I want to consider there. I talked about George Springer. He hits the fastball that is over 96 miles per hour, one of the best in the business. I think that I was looking at that stat because I was looking at Bo Bichette and I was looking at Springer. I was like, okay, these guys could be a really good, I would probably say sneaky mini stack, but against the fastball as well. Yeah, fastball over 96 miles per hour. George Springer, 402 WOBA, 333 ISO, 57.14% hard hit rate. This guy, he crushes that fastball. And we know Evaldi, he relies on the fastball. It's the fastball and the slider to these right-handers. So Springer against the slider, 330 WOBA, 243 ISO. I mean, he's becoming one of my favorite outfielders just to play day in and day out, leading off here, 5.2K. I love Kyle Tucker there. He actually hits lefties really well. I don't know if you mentioned him already and I missed that, but Patrick Sandoval, he does have some good BVP against him. 7 plate appearances, 4 hits. 2 of those are home runs and a walk against Sandoval. 667 batting average, 1833 slugging. Kyle Tucker is one of my BVP darlings for today. Orlando Arcia has good BVP against Walker Buehler. He's only 2K if he makes the lineup. I mean, I don't know what that looks like, but obviously somebody we need to consider there. So and obviously from a BVP standpoint, the only guy that really stood out to me was Cedric Mullins. This guy, he's hitting everybody. Like he's really turned the corner. Last year, he showed a lot of good glimpses here. He's only 4.8K, but he's leading off. Nobody's going to play him probably here against Cole Irvin since it's a lefty on lefty. So we could see sub 1% ownership on an 11-game slate. Cedric Mullins, I mean, the Orioles, they haven't been scoring a ton of runs, but that guy's doing some damage at the top of the order, Pete. From a FanDuel perspective, there's a lot of really good plays here. It's just hard to kind of, I think that you're just going to kind of see where you're at in regards to salary or ownership or whatever it is. I wouldn't say I'd go back to the well today with Tommy Pham. I don't think that this is the best spot here. I liked him a lot more yesterday, but kind of digging in. Nick Senzel is batting second. He's 2.1K on FanDuel. If you need a salary relief guide there. Is there anybody on the outfield that you now are looking at and you're just like, man, I really like this guy that we missed?
No, I mentioned Sam Hilliard for a second there. He's really cheap. And one sneaky play, and only because he's a lefty going up against a lefty, is Alex Vertigo is hot right now for Boston. So I could possibly play him in that reverse. So I didn't mention Vertigo. Kutch is always good, but to me it's a Nelly Cruz night.
Yeah, I love it. And I will say that you have two outfielders that are below 3K on DraftKings. I think it's DraftKings that I was looking at. Maybe not. Hold on. Let me just double check the pricing. Yep. So on DraftKings, you have Max Kepler going against Carlos Hernandez, batting fourth, 2.9K. Larnach could be batting sixth against Hernandez. Lefty, 2K. He's the minimum. So I want to mention those two guys because I really like anytime we're going against Carlos Hernandez, I want to look at some of these twins here. And we know Max Kepler, whenever he gets hot, he gets red hot. He's used to be a 5K player on DraftKings. So definitely want to consider him there. All right, Pete. I mean, there's a lot of places to go. You're beating my head in on this home run calls, albeit we're only one player a day. You're 2 points to my 0. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to change this up a little bit. I want you to think about this because we're going to go to our stacks and then our home run calls and call it a day. Our home run calls, we're going to start having one player that's a high price guy and then one player that's a low price guy. So you can pick a guy that is above 4K and a guy that's below 4K. That's going to be our new rule, okay? So that way you can kind of start looking on there. While it gives you time to think, I'll talk about my favorite stacks. Pete will talk about his. I'll do my home run calls. Pete will do his PrizePicks, and we'll call it a wrap, guys. My favorite stacks today, obviously, there's a lot of places to go. I will say a sneaky stack, kind of a game stack like Pete mentioned, which is actually gave me a really good idea. But fading those Toronto, Boston pitchers, not playing Evaldi, not playing Kikuchi, wind blowing out, 12 miles per hour plus to center field in that Boston and Fenway Park. I really like stacking up those Toronto guys, playing some Boston guys, and just playing some cheap pitchers. That's one of my favorite stacks today. I will say it's probably sneakier in a more obvious spot. Obviously, I do want to look at and I don't know how obvious it is, but I will say that I really, really, really love Minnesota today. Playing against Carlos Hernandez. I don't know what these guys, looking at some of his numbers, I'm like, man, he's not terrible against left-handed batters. He's not terrible against righties. Then I kind of start to dig in more recency bias, his hard hit rates, everything. And watching him pitch the other day, this guy's awful. So he's trash. You can play some good pitching and get some Minnesota value. I really like that stack a lot. So all that being said, Pete, who are your favorite stacks today?
I like that game stack too. Like the Red Sox, probably fading cores. My top overall stack is probably you already said Twins. So Padres. Padres are my sneaky stack.
I like that.
Padres, Twins, Red Sox.
I like that a lot. So Padres, Twins, Red Sox, obviously for him, we see a lot of the things that were kind of matching up there. Home run calls. I'm going to go first, Pete, and I'm going to go from that same game that I like the game stack on. And I feel like I might be taking your guy. I hope I am. I may not be, but my favorite guy that's over 4K will be Xander Bogaerts today. I think that he just matches up so well against Kikuchi. He profiles well against lefties. You were talking about him. I love him today. I think he's just an amazing play. So he is my top home run call above 4K. I'll let you do your 4K and up, and then I'll let you do your sub 4K guy, and then I'll finish out with my cheapie. So who do you got?
Zunino. Zunino's my above 4K guy. And then my below 4K guy, I'm going to go with Max Kepler.
I like that. I like Max Kepler a lot. I'm actually going to go with, I feel like I'm stealing guys that you really like, but guys that I kind of brought up here. Alec Boehm is at
Yeah,
3.8K.
I almost got him, but he was close.
Yeah, I know. I figured he was up there for you. So that way we'll know. I need to catch up, man. I need, the problem is like, God, thank God we didn't play per home run. You get points because Jordan went double dong last night. So a lot of places to go. A lot of good picks there on, and everything. But speaking of picks, I do want to go in and I want to talk about some prize picks before it closes out. I'll let you kind of look in there as you're digging in. The strikeouts prop is one of my favorites to play for pitching, especially whenever you pick guys that are in really good spots or picking on guys that you think are going to get out of the game pretty quick. But I was digging through one of the ones that I feel like is I wouldn't say it's a near lock to go over because I'm really worried about the pitch count here. But I really do like Chris Archer. He's 4.5K. I agree. I'm a little worried about the pitch count. So that's something that I wanted to look at on there. But I do like John Gray is also at 4.5K. Both of those seem to be a low prop. I think that both of these guys can get over that in about 3 innings, which they should both get at least that much there. And the guy that I'm looking at from a pitching prop that I'm leaning under here, Pete, and I don't know if it's just because I think that this guy is not super talented or that I'm worried about he's going to get knocked out of the game pretty quick, but I don't know. It just seems like JT Brubaker, 4.5K. I don't know if he's going to get there, man. I think Milwaukee's going to hit him. They're starting to heat up a little bit. They've been pretty bad this season, but he's somebody I may lean under. He's a very risky play. I think that you don't have to go there, so you can pick the other two if you like them. Is there any guys that you're just like, man, these guys are going to blow it up? Because I feel like a lot of these props are the same betting props that we see on our websites. I'm not sure if you see any there or any that you had on pitching, Pete.
Like Alex Cobb over 5 strikeouts.
Okay. I like it. On the hitting side, total bases, I like your guy, Mike Zunino here. He's at 0.5. I feel like he's going to get on. It doesn't take anything but a single to go over on that. That seems like it's free money. So definitely like him there a lot. Digging down a little bit further, there are some guys that are at 1.5. I mean, a double can get them there. So I do worry about if they're all going to be able to make it today. But I'm just going to go ahead and go out and say that I really I feel like this guy is bound to hit a home run or a double in this park. Alec Boehm, 1.5 total bases here. I really like that play a lot. My other one that I like to play is runs and RBIs. Did you see any total bases that you like?
Maybe Mitch Garver over 0.5 going against Seattle.
Okay, fair enough. Runs plus RBIs. I love George Springer, 0.5. I would even pair him up with Bo Bichette today at 0.5. Love both those guys there. Kyle Tucker, I like at 0.5. Good BVP. He's in a great spot here as well. You like the Padres. I like Austin Nola at 0.5 going over on all of those there. Those are all I think the risky ones are going to be the Braves. Like, are you going to play into these guys as the under here against Walker Buehler? That's something I'm not going to touch, but I don't know how you feel. If there's anything on the runs plus RBIs that you like,
I'm not touching it, and I totally agree with the George Springer 0.5.
Yeah, like that a lot, guys. I tend to stray away from the hits plus walks. We had somebody comment if they liked first inning runs allowed. That's something we can help out with in our MLB premium rooms or in the chats, obviously, as well. We'll make sure to get you guys some information in regards to that. We're closing right out, guys, right under an hour. It's a big slate, a lot to talk about. There was a few guys at each position that we talked about. Be sure to like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. YourFieldersChoice.com, $25 promo. That's half off. 50% off. Best content in the industry. The results speak for themselves, guys. As we're growing, you're growing your bankroll. Look at the winning lineup shroom. That should speak enough. Shout out to our other sports. We have a lot going on this weekend. Obviously, USFL content is something that we have available in our premium rooms, in our cores rooms as well, where you're going to find a lot of the top plays that we have from each staff member. But we do have a unified main cash game core for you if you have trouble deciding. Pete, anything else before we go?
No, it's good. No weather concerns. We should be able to mix stuff early in big slate, but should be okay. I would just say I'm probably going to fade cash because of this Braves situation and the low prices. and maybe fade Coors and see what happens.
Sounds good, man. I like it. We got to be different here today. So this is at YFC Sports V12, at YFC Sports Pete. We're signing out today, guys. Have a great